Check, check. 1, 2. Check, check. We are recording. Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Van Candy. I'm your host, Nick Dundas. Welcome to the back of the van. We are in the caboose, the sleeper section. On our first episode, we put on some headphones and one-handed drive the entire Ballard neighborhood, and we are still in Ballard, and I do not feel like driving today, mostly because the many of you who saw some clips that I posted online were a little concerned for my safety because I was carrying this microphone, and to be honest, they have some valid points. So, right now we are going to be in the back of this van until I figure out a good way to drive with two hands and still record the podcast. I will likely use a lavalier mic, although I'm not sure how to plug it into this device. So, pending, we'll have a driving sequence coming up. Maybe in our next episode, we'll see. But welcome to the sleeper section where I can sleep comfortably. Oh, yeah, this is going to be like a therapy session for me. Loving this. You guys might be able to hear in my voice that I'm a little stuffy. I'm actually pretty sick. I'm 99% sure I have COVID, mostly because not only do I have a scratchy throat, stuffy nose, and headache, but I'm having chest pains like I've never had before. I've never had a heart attack, so I don't know what that feels like, but it's kind of like sweaty and waking me up throughout the night. This amount of pain I'm feeling in my chest, and some muscle fatigue like I've never felt before, mostly because I just never assert myself. I'm just so out of shape in the inside. So that might be an issue, and that might be the reason why I could be suffering from COVID. This new fun variant called Optimus Prime. Omnimus Prime? We don't know. Everyone calls it something different. I am not the only one who's sick in my house, though. I'm realizing we got a dog. Her name is Peanut. I don't care what you think about that name. We love her. She's a pit bull. We don't just call her Peanut. We call her Lady. We call her Big Butt. We call her Princess Pee-Pee. Sometimes we play the penis game because it sounds enough like Peanut. So when she's outside running away, we're like, penis, penis. I win every time. I've actually had a lot of experience playing that game, as you can imagine. My IQ is very low, so I still play it regularly. But yeah, I brought Peanut up because pretty sure the reason she got sick was because we fed her the egg of a Egg McMuffin from McDonald's, and she is allergic to chicken, and we kind of forgot that an egg comes from a chicken. Although I'm not sure if that's the case at McDonald's. It could come from literally anything else, and I'd still probably eat it. But we did give her the egg, and the next day she threw up everywhere, like the whole house, and she purposely chose carpet. We have tile floors, which is awesome for cleanup, but the two places we have rugs and our actual bed, she just decided to throw up there instead. I think she thought she was helping, but she wasn't. I'm yelling. My God, I am yelling in this van. Anyway, she threw up, then she decided to pee where she threw up, and then poop, and then ate the pee and poop, and then threw up again. Just dog stuff, just typical fun man's best friend activities. And it was like 3-4 hours of cleanup, a lot of bleach, a lot of forgotten unopened windows, so fainting almost for sure. And she felt bad, and I could tell she did not like what was happening. So we had to find out what was making her throw up. It took us a few hours to realize it could have been the egg, maybe some new snacks we got her. So we decided not to feed her too much food because every time we did, she'd still throw up because she was still sick. Didn't matter what we fed her. So we decided to boil some rice because that's kind of basic. And, she's not allergic to rice, but that's what's been making her fart now for the past 72 hours. She has been really stinking up the house, so that's some good stuff. So not only am I in pain, but this dog is just like self-conscious about the smells it's releasing. And it's kind of a shit show, literal shit show at my place, but now I'm in the van. I'm in my safe space, the studio, where Van Candy happens. I'm wearing my trench coat, just really, really fitting in with the vibe here. It's a little big for me, so now I look like I belong in this van. I got my cool Parlor Tricks hat. Come on, check it out. If you want one, just fucking leave a comment, and maybe you'll get one. I don't know. I don't make them. Some other cool guy does. And, you want to learn more about the swag, you got to watch. That's all. You're missing out if you're not watching this, guys. We had 5 people watch the last podcast, and that's 5 more than I anticipated, so I'm pretty excited about it. And, they might have just watched the first 2 minutes and thought to themselves, why am I wasting my life? And, it's fine too. But, I'm happy. I'm living life. I feel like Christmas is coming up. It is Thursday, December 23rd. I was talking about it last podcast, but I did end up getting people gift cards. And I know you guys are cringing, like, what's the point if you're just going to give them cash? And it's like, I'm supporting small business. And also, I suck. That's kind of half of it. So, but I feel like it's hard to get upset over some free money. So I'm just glad I don't have a creepy mustache to go along with this trench coat. Oh, shit. I got a mustache. I've been wanting one for a while, so I don't care what you guys think. I've been wanting a beard for a long time, and in the shadowy figure, it still looks like I have a shitty neck beard. So, one day it'll happen. It's been almost 3 months of no shaving, and kind of happy with the outcome. I'm going to give it some more time, trim it up soon. It's getting gross, but hey, so am I. So it makes sense that my face looks puby. That's what the rest of my body looks like. I was thinking about Christmas, thinking about how I used to, Christmas was weird growing up because neither of my parents raised us Christian at all. We didn't follow that practice. Both of them were baptized and were raised Catholic. But then by the time they were teenagers, like most people, they were like, yeah, I'm going to do drugs and live my life. Although I can't say that my mom's ever really done hard drugs. At least she claims. Anyway, so I never grew up with that Christianity. So, Santa's not really as tied as it is to the Christian holiday spirit. It is kind of its own thing. It's more American, German, whatever you call it. And when I was like a young teenager, I was like 12, 13, she was like, do you believe in Santa? I was like, no. She's like, well, then we're probably not going to do a tree anymore. And I'm like, oh, shit, I should have kept going with the whole believing thing. We still got presents. It was still a good time. But, growing up, we didn't care about that shit. I think we just wanted to spend time together. But my mom hated the tree. That was always the funny part. My mom, day of Christmas, my dad would pick us up. That's how it worked with the divorced family, Christmas Eve at my mom's place, Christmas Day at my dad's, and my dad would pick us up mid-morning after we opened presents at my mom's place. Again, divorced parents means 2 Christmases. That is one of the very few benefits of the family breaking apart, other than also parents being happier with themselves. So my mom, like, almost every year would literally, like, make my dad take the tree out, and we were, like, so sad. I just remember, like, why does she hate it so bad? Like, why are we even doing this if it's causing drama? But it wasn't. It was just more like she didn't want to sweep up all the needles, and I have no idea. But it was funny because my brothers and I, even at 12, 13, were like, we still want a tree. And she's like, well, make your own tree. And we're like, we got lots of Legos. So a couple of years we did Lego trees, and it made the presents look bigger, let me tell you. When you trim the hedges and you do a Lego tree that's maybe 3 feet tall, and you got a handful of presents, I'm not saying we're getting plasma screen TVs by any means, but it looked like we did because our tree was so small. So, kind of like a reverse shave the penis thing, which I did today. It was looking a little bushy, looking a little bit like my face. So, oh yeah. I remember in elementary school, we used to have those Christmas parties. Those was like, oh, everyone was so excited. It was like the 2 days before Christmas. It's like we're watching movies. We're getting fruit punch. The teacher was hungover most of that week because she was just like, we are not doing anything on the syllabus. So elementary school, like before we leave for Christmas, everyone brings cookies. Like everyone brings their favorite treats, and we all just like share via plate. My mom is from France, and she does not give a shit about the very Americanized treats and pastries that are sold at most grocery stores in this country. I grew up with a mom who would always make cookies homemade, and my God, to this day, they are still some of the best I've had. They are very divine, but they are not like your frosted. My mom can't make a chocolate chip cookie. That's not a joke. She literally has never made a good chocolate chip cookie. She can take the Pillsbury dough pre-made and cook that. That's fine. But when it comes to starting from scratch, it's never worked out. But she can make amazing like cakes, tarts, French pastries, like things that are so much more difficult than a Toll House like chocolate chip cookie mix. You can't do it. It's so funny. So, kids would come in with frosted cookies that they got from the grocery store. They'd come in with homemade chocolate chip cookies. They'd come in with cupcakes. And my mom would make, often like moon pies. And those are literally just like butter or sugar cookies with a little bit of jam in the middle. And those are, my God, so freaking good. And I remember being so sad because, again, my mom didn't care what they looked like. We just cared, and me too, cared what they tasted like. But, like they just looked like kind of like lumpy, white, little soggy. I don't know what they looked like, but they weren't pristine like a frosted cookie that might have had the Patriots logo, or freaking perfectly round chocolate chip cookie that someone's mom spent 8 hours cooking the night before. So then when I put my tray of cookies, not one single person would eat the cookies that my mom made. And I remember being so sad. I remember being like, no one likes me, which no one liked me for different reasons. It had nothing to do with my mom's cookies, so I shouldn't blame it on that. But I just remember being so upset one year. And I was like, God damn. Like, and eating everyone else's cookies, they're great. And I was like, you guys got to try it. Like, I would try to force it on kids that were clearly not interested. They're like, we don't even know your name. We didn't know you were in this class, dude. And I was like, oh, well, that's a different problem. So I remember coming home. I don't remember. It was like second, third grade. I remember coming home and being really upset. My mom's like, why are you sad? And I was like, well, no one ate the cookies you made. And you spent so much time. And she's like, well, now we get the cookies to ourselves. Now you should be happy. And I was like, holy shit, you're right. I get all 30 of these cookies for me. And I didn't have to share with stupid Molly or Brendan or anything. I just keep it to myself. My mom's a genius. She's a genius. It's not like she made those cookies ugly on purpose. She just knew that there's a silver lining here. So I remember the next year, no joke, when we had the cookie time before our Christmas break, I remember hiding my cookie tray. Like, I just put it in the back and I didn't take the foil off. And no one noticed because they were distracted by all the other cupcakes and cookies and punch and, assorted goods. Candy. I remember there's a lot of candy. I'm surprised I don't have diabetes. I am such a sugar fiend, dude. I've always been into cakes and pastries. I guess I exercise, but also I eat so much sometimes. I don't know what it is. And you think, oh, you must have a fast metabolism. I don't. I have hypothyroidism. I have to take pills daily so that my body doesn't, implode and look like a giant swollen tick, as my dad would say, because he has it. My brothers have it. So maybe I'm cheating. Maybe because I'm taking drugs, I do have a fast metabolism as I say that out loud. But, man, I am looking sexy just leaning up like this. What about this? Oh, yeah. Those holiday parties were fun. I remember on Valentine's Day, they'd make us make cards for everyone. They'd make us celebrate Valentine's Day at such a young age. In second, third grade, everyone would make a card for the 25 other students in class, and you only knew 3. You only had an attention span where you're like, I have 2-3 friends and I don't remember anyone else's name. At least that was me. Friends is a loose term. And I remember there was this girl named Cassidy who sat next to me. You used to change seats every week. These were the desks that you lifted up and you had some shit and your notebooks and gum and used condoms if you were cool. You brought your parents used condoms, and you'd do it for show and tell, and the teacher would yell at you and send you to the principal's office, and then you'd get a therapist for 6 months. But that's a whole other thing. Anyway, yeah, I remember there was this girl named Cassidy I sat next to. Pretty girl. I did not have a crush on her at the time. I just thought, oh, this is a girly girl. She likes to wear pink. It's Valentine's Day. I'm going to make her a card. What do girls like? They like figure skating. They like ballet. They like pretty lashes. They like hearts and anything pink. So I drew a picture of her in a heart. And you might see where this is going. I drew in a dress and I drew hearts everywhere in pink. Happy Valentine's Day, Cassidy. I'm like, oh, she's going to fucking love this. And then on to the next one. But when I gave it to her, this fat, he ate all the cookies. This fat dude. I wish I remembered his name. I remembered it earlier today when I was thinking about this. Oh, this fat fuck. This dude was just like, Nick's got a crush on Cassidy. And everyone turned around and saw the picture. And even Cassidy, this was like out of those early 2000s movies where you don't think this actually happens. It fucking happens. People point and laugh at you. She had the card that I made her. And by the way, I was a great drawer, so I spent a good 45 minutes on this card just for this one girl, this bitch. And they all pointed and laughed. They're like, Nick likes Cassidy. And Cassidy clearly did not like me. I did not like Cassidy, but I could see why they thought I liked her after drawing the card. In hindsight, I understand the move. It was a misstep. I was just trying to be a nice guy. Anyway, Valentine's Day, not a great holiday for me. Christmas, I learned to love it. I definitely was a romantic kid in elementary school. I fucking used to write. This is before I liked girls. This was just a feeling I had where I was just like, oh, I'm going to just romanticize every other woman that talks to me. Oh, she said something to me like, hey, Nick, can I borrow your pencil? She's into it. We are going to get married or something. So I remember I used to draw pictures of girls and their names in my notebook all frilly, like the girls do for the guys they have crushes on. I was like the one guy who did it for the girls. And again, never for them. It's not like they ever saw it. But such a romantic dude. So sappy. I don't know what was up. Anyway, Christmas holiday season, it's upon us, and I have COVID most likely, so I am likely going to stay home alone with my sick dog and 2 cats. That's great. Maybe we'll do a little van tour. Maybe we'll do a little Christmas thing. I would give out gifts or volunteer to soup kitchen, but I also have a potential disease. So that's my excuse for not being a better person. I'm sick, so I got to help me. I say that out loud, but if I do test negative and find myself a little better, but still not wanting to potentially spread something, no, fuck. Still, I don't want to go to a soup kitchen and then spread to the people who are less likely to have a vaccine. Yeah, okay. Let's be smart. Let's not be the white knight just yet. Let's not be this God complex. Come on. Bro, I was just thinking about being on the bus. We're in a van right now, but I remember the bus is where everything fucking went down. I don't know about you guys, but that's where a lot of learning happened. Anyway, from elementary school all the way to high school. My sophomore year is probably the last year I was riding the bus regularly, and then I was cool enough to have a friend or two who drove, and we go to class. I remember my first day of freshman year of high school. I had just moved from one town to the other. I actually moved from the opposing town. We were enemies in high school. That was Dighton, Rehoboth was the area I was in before, and then I moved to Seekonk, Massachusetts. And I remember, an aside, my first day of soccer practice, which they have before school starts, the only soccer gear I had was Dighton, Rehoboth colored socks and clothes. So I remember kids were like, is this a joke? Did they send another kid who is clearly really bad at soccer and doesn't play to make fun of us? I remember people were very upset about that. And I think they should have been. I think I should have just found the right colors and maybe just worn a white t-shirt instead of the I play for Dighton Rehoboth Middle School. I don't think anyone wanted that. Anyway, my first day, I was waiting for the bus. I remember walking up, and I'm 13, mind you. I'm a little young to be a freshman in high school. And I walk up to the bus stop, which is literally, I want to say 10 feet from my house. I was fortunate in hindsight to live that close. I'm 13 years old, and I already see the 3 kids. I say kids, they were grown adults. There were 3 20-year-olds. They'd been staying back a year or two. They're in a special enrichment program. They have beards. They're smoking cigarettes, literally just wearing tank tops. And they're just fucking talking about having sex with a girl. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't even know what penetration looks like. That's not true. I was watching porn sometimes at the time. But I remember being like, I don't even want to sit here. I couldn't even look at them. I remember and they looked at me and they just kind of brushed me to the side. Then this other girl comes. I say girl. Again, full-figured woman. This isn't a joke. Double E breasts. Huge. And she's 20-something, so low cut. And I'm like, this is already, I can go home and it's already the best day of my life. This is great. I've never been this close to breasts before. At least any young person I'm about to ride the bus with. I was like, I'm hoping it's a bumpy road, so jig, 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 we can see that. And it was. Again, it's a happy ending. So These kids were smoking, they're chain smoking, they're talking about life. I'm clearly the youngest one there. Everyone else there looks like they have children of their own that are probably my age. And I remember being so intimidated. And they asked what my name was, and I was like, Nick, because that's no exaggeration, probably how high pitched my voice was. I was like maybe 100 pounds, 5'6", no bigger. And they kind of go back to their conversation, but then they start talking about Family Guy. They start doing voices. And I don't know why I had a hair up my ass, but I decided to, out of the blue, just do Greased Up Deaf Guy, if you guys remember, probably from the mid-2000s. They'd be like, "You're never gonna catch me." And I also started doing Herbert the Pervert. I'm like, "Hi, paper boy." My voice was already that high. I didn't have to really, mimic it. And they freaked out. They were like, "That's awesome. Come sit with us." So we get on the bus finally, and I'm sitting in the back. And again, the girl with the big boobs, I think her name was Ashley. She's like, "Have you ever rolled a blunt before?" And I was like, "What is the sentence that just came out of your mouth?" I didn't know what weed was. I didn't know what drugs. I just knew that dare was something I was obsessed with and wanted to be a good boy. So she took out fucking a cigarello and weed and started mixing it in the back of the bus. And I was like, like boobs, drugs, fucking a black person, literally. Things I'd never seen before. That's how white and suburban I was. I lived in the woods for the longest time where it was just all mayonnaise people. So I was just like, damn, this is fun. I love the suburbs. Fucking this girl, the black girl on the back of the bus. Again, she got pregnant 6 months later. And that same day, I kid you not, she had a weave on and it fell off. The bus was literally a bumpy ride to school and it fell off and she was screaming. And she put it back on real quick. And I looked over and I was like, oh, she has cancer. I just thought she was bald. And that was a fake wig to hide the fact that she has an issue. That's how white I was. I was learning so much in 30 minutes. These people, the dudes in the back of the bus, had tattoos. Not an exaggerate. This is just all. I was just like, damn, this is a tough place. I thought I was in the big city. This town was had sidewalks. That's so funny. So I just remember being so excited to be in the back of the bus, hang out with the cool kids. And again, it's not like these people ever acknowledged me when I was in high school. But I was such a green person so that when I was in the hallways for the first month, I'd be like, "Hi, Ashley, how are you?" Still smoking that weed. I'd just be a narc off the bat, straight up not knowing that was a faux pas. And she would just look to the side and be like, I know you're not talking to me. And I was like, "Oh, okay." It wasn't long before I realized oh, this isn't an actual friendship. I'm just they just think I'm cute from afar. And so I remember the bus, but long before that, there was my first not really fight ever was in the back of the bus. I was in 8th grade. And this was some anger that came out of me. This kid named Zach who I was friends with. He let me watch him play video games on his PSP. It was 2007. So he's playing this handheld device. We'd watch movies. He'd have an MP3 player and we'd listen to music. Cool guy. There was one day though, I was in the back of the bus, trying to sit next to him, and he was just nah. And I was like, all right, it's fine. A little butthurt, but that's fine. And then I tripped and fell, and people started laughing. I was a little embarrassed, but that's fine. But he especially was laughing. And then when I got up, he pushed me. Again, just being funny. He wasn't go fuck yourself. He was just ah. And I remember being oh. I just, this little switch went on, and I was very upset. I had never had that moment of just pure anger before. I didn't do anything about it. I just sat the seat in front of him, or behind him even, and I was pissed. And this kid behind me, another Zach, this guy was a dork, but the whole time he saw what had happened, he's whispering in my ear, "Dude, you're gonna just let Zach do that to you? Damn, dude, you're a fucking pussy." He was egging me on hardcore. He wanted to fight more than anything. He saw the spark in my eye. He knew what could have gone down if he just had to light the fire, and he was fucking doing a good job, because when my bus, again, coward on my end, when my bus stop came, I decided to wait until I had an out, which is when the bus driver opened the door to my house in the driveway. This is 7th grade, I think. And also, mind you, in the context of things, this is 2 days before our spring break, which is important. So Zach had pushed me. I'm getting angry. Another Zach is lighting the fire and just telling me, like, I'm a pussy for not doing anything. Are you going to let him just walk all over you? That guy's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And so when I get up, I turn around. When the bus stops at my house, Zach is still several stops. He's playing his video game. If anything, I could have just sat next to him and probably continued to play and be friends with him. But instead, I chose violence. And violence, I mean, I got up and all red in the face, he looks up. He's like, what's up, man? Without anger and candor. I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like hyperventilating and I just yelled and I hawked a loogie. I went, almost actually spit in my van, right on his fucking chin neck. I got him kind of good. It was pretty green and it was punk and pretty gross. Not a cool move. There's never valor behind the spit move. It was very French of me, if anything. So terrible in a fighting situation. Oh, and he's again, I'm a shrimp, so he's a much bigger person than me, and most people were. And he got up and started fucking screaming, as he should have. Calling me a fat, like all these things. Again, as he should have. And he's getting pretty close to punch, but then I started backing away, and the doors closed behind me, and I just slithered back to my house. That was it. I was just kind of like, okay, I didn't mean to do that, bye. The next day, it's the last day of school before spring break, and not only had I been hanging out with Zach on the bus, but we had been sitting together at lunch, maybe talking in between class. This is an actual friend of mine that I just turned on, and I'm, again, such a coward that instead of, like, going up to him at school and maybe doing this confrontation, I just avoided him, like, as much as I could, even though we had whatever periods and lockers next to each other. I didn't sit next to him at lunch. I sat next to a whole other table. And so I remember being so afraid to get on the bus on the way back to school. I remember getting so afraid to get on the bus on the way back home because he didn't happen to be on the bus that morning. But I was like, I know he's going to be on the bus when we go home. So I remember just purposefully missing the bus. It wasn't an accident. I just remember staying at school, and you're supposed to wait in line. They call bus number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. There's like 12 buses. I think it was bus number 3 or 8 that year. They called my bus, and I just went to the bathroom, and I stayed there for like 30 minutes. And then I was like, oh no, I missed the bus. I have to call my mom, who works really hard to support the family. And I have to make sure she gets out of her busy schedule because I'm a pussy. And it worked. I just avoided him for the rest of the year. I just didn't acknowledge it. And I think he was just like, I guess it's not worth my time because he sucks. So I learned that I wasn't ready for a fight in 7th grade on the bus. I also learned about betrayal on the bus. And I want to say 4th grade, again, before break. This is before summer break. I was friends with this kid named Seth. Seth listened to some really good music. Like, his parents were hippies for sure. They were really old, and I think they were there, like, at Woodstock. I'm not even saying that as an exaggeration. Like, they were just about that life. At the very least, they were like Deadheads. They loved the Grateful Dead. They dressed in sequins and so many Technicolor. I don't know how to explain it. They were just, I think if Acid was a family, that would be the family, you know? And Seth was the offspring. You'd think they'd have a more colorful name, but Seth was the choice. He smelled like pizza, but I liked that because I was in elementary school. Anyway, this kid like woke me up to like Metallica, the Beatles, a lot of cool rock and roll, but he also was hip to rap. And at the time, when you're a kid, you love like, pigeonholing and making things separate. So people who liked different genres and were open-minded were just like a new concept for me. And so I remember everyone was obsessed with Eminem for years, starting in the late 90s, but I feel like especially so when 50 Cent was getting bigger. And I think he had Curtain Call. That was the album. And I remember thinking to myself, hey, I will trade you my Linkin Park, was it Meteora CD? I had something, and I had a little sleeve of CDs, because back in the day, there were no MP3 players. We had, like, the Sony Walkmans, which were CD players or whatever else you could get, maybe Philips. And you'd bring a sleeve of CDs, and you just put them and switch them all the time. And I remember Seth was like, that's a fair deal. So the day before This is the last day of school before the summer, before we're going to be fifth graders the next year. I give him, I forgot what CD, but he gives me Curtain Call by Eminem, the one I'd been wanting. And I don't open it up. I'm so excited. I'm just listening to my own music, and I go home. And when I open it up, it's not Curtain Call by Eminem. It's Mos Def's Black on Both Sides, or Blacker on Both Sides. And I remember, like, almost shitting myself. That's how mad I was. I was like, this guy's not white. I remember listening to it first. I was like, oh, maybe it's just a different cover on the CD, trying to convince myself, and it wasn't. But I was in fourth grade, so I just didn't give it a second. Like, once I realized it wasn't like, Mom, spaghetti. Like, I just threw it to the side. And I want to say a whole year and a half went by before I gave that CD an actual listen. Fucking changed my life. So, an amazing album, one of my favorite rap albums. White people do love 90s rap. That is a Jamal Banyan quote. It is pretty accurate. So yeah, I learned about the stock market, and I came off at a loss end of fourth grade. That was, but I say loss, but it was a low-key growth, you know? It was just kind of like a boom, then whoa, this is important, you know? Kind of a stretch to compare to the stock market, but we did like to trade stuff all the time. I remember we would always, we'd have tech decks and, different toys, and you try to convince people that your toy was cool. Beyblades was a big thing. So some people would have small ones, but they'd be made of steel or metal, so you'd want those over the big plastic ones. Yeah, you're kind of haggling all the time. It was kind of like Beirut in the back of the bus. It smelled like it. A lot of illegal substances, I'm sure. I remember, literally the next year, the iPod came out. I think it was the iPod Mini, the little color ones. And everyone started getting, if you were rich, you had the iPod, but then if you were middle-class suburb, you had just any brand MP3 player. Every 6 months, or every 3 months even, you just get another one because they were cheap enough, and they were such small storage, and they were ever expanding that, literally I remember the fall of fifth grade, it was you had 125 megabyte MP3 player, and then you get the Sony Bean, which is 512 megabyte, and then you get a gigabyte, and then and there was never a screen on it. There was always just physical buttons that you'd move with just a plug-in. Some kids had the Zune, and we thought they were so cool, and then it only took 6 months to realize those kids are not cool. Zune people were whack. It was pretty early on that we knew that they were not going down the right path, and that they were probably going to be probably dead in a few years. If you chose the Zune and were excited about it, we're like, this guy's going to prison probably. He's just not someone I want to be associated with, you know. And that's no shade to Bill Gates. It's just more, I don't know. It's just when you have gold and you choose myrrh instead, it's what are you doing? What are you doing? Jesus reference, because it's Christmas time, gotta do it. Gotta do it. So the bus was very, very pivotal to my life. And I'm assuming everyone has some sort of similar experience. Passing notes, falling in love. What time is it? Oh, shit, it's been 30 minutes of bus talk. What are we doing, folks? Just running on tangents here. I love it. I love it. Now I've made my own bus. And no, there will be no gangbanging in here. At least I hope not. Or maybe I hope so. I'm open-minded. I've camped here a few times with my girlfriend. It's actually kind of fun. Went to Westport, Washington, did some surfing. A lot of people get the converted vans out there, sleep in the parking lot, surf during the day. I'm only so cool. I've done it once. It's pretty fun. We have paddle boards now, so we'll take those out when the weather's warm. We got wetsuits, so there's no excuse. I could be in the ocean right now if I was not sick, but I'm not going to do that because it just sounds horrible. It's just so murky. Actually, the water's clear. What am I saying? Yeah, this van's fun. I'm definitely glad we turned it into a podcast studio. Another thing, I've told you about the damage from podcasts prior, but we also have a vent. I have a vent, right? You can't see it, but it's in the back here. We took either a jigsaw or a sawzall, I don't remember. We cut a hole. I want to say it's 6 inches in diameter, so 3 dick lengths erect. And that thing, I don't know why we did that. I was so excited. I was like, oh, all it does is just make people know that there might be someone living in the van. It shows that. All right, So we cut the hole, and then we're like, now we have to find something that fills it, because normally when you do a van conversion, you get what they have in most RV situations, which is like a 1.5 by 1.5 square, which then has glass that opens up and a layer of whatever it's called, insulation. But because the top of this van is ribbed, we decided to go within the ribs, which again are like 7 inches wide. So we did a 6-inch diameter hole, and put in like a I want to say like a pipe, like it's not a plumbing pipe, but an HVAC like end, which had a vent, and then curved up, and then we super glued some like folder, like literally some plastic folder over, so that when it rained, it didn't just go directly into the vent. I think the problem is the little fold like chipped, and rain goes sideways. It doesn't go straight, so it just is constantly leaking water. Which, if you don't know anything about van builds, is your job is to get the most moisture out. You don't want any moisture in, because it just starts like warping everything and things start to deteriorate. And so for the past 6 months, I mean, not only were we trying to stop that from leaking, but I have Dutch doors in the back, which sounds fancy, but it's just more room for like water to come in. And so we'd have to just like put in more sealant, put in more sealant, put in more sealant. These fucking doors would almost stick together. I think we stopped it from coming in from the Dutch doors, but this vent, I have not been spending any time. And so I just put a towel down, and it's wet for sure. I'm fucking looking at it, and I'm like, ooh, it's been raining too. So I'll probably replace that right now. This vent, though, the whole point was like, oh, when I cook every day in this van, steak and stuff, it's just, I'm going to need a vent, as opposed to just opening the window. Or just realizing that I'm not going to cook all that much in here. And when I do, it's like, I could it's trial and error. It's funny because I remember thinking about this and not being upset, but as I say it out loud, I'm realizing, oh my God, dude. It's okay. Something tells me this might not be the first one I do, because it was kind of fun. It's nice when you have time, but I'd like to, like I said, show you guys some more specifics. We'll have probably just a van tour only, maybe a little side. It's not necessarily going to be a podcast, but it'll be like a bonus episode. Maybe at the start of next year, you'll see the bonsai tree that's fake and was a gift from a friend and has been destroyed in a way just because we move things in here and out. You'll see the sticker collection I have from places we've been. Hawaii, Providence, Rhode Island. Which do I like better? Come on. I'm pale. You think I'd survive in Hawaii? No. No. The villagers would destroy me. Providence. That is my MO. I like the sketchiness, the cobblestone. I don't know what else I like about it, but I do love Providence. Shout out my East Coast homies. They're far and few between, but they do exist. I swear. Parlor Tricks Comedy. Check it out. All right, I think that's going to be the end of the podcast, guys. Thanks for listening in to my stories about childhood, and I'm sorry that I'm breathing like a 4-year-old who has the cold. I'm a 27-year-old with the COVID. So, talk to you next year, I guess. Have a happy holiday, and bye.